Welcome into your Arkansas football recruiting report. Hayden Herrera, joined as always by Otis Kirk. Otis, same song and dance. I feel like this one a 38-35 defeat at home against Mississippi State on homecoming. A lot of storylines came out of that game, but
Yeah,
ultimately another fourth quarter collapse that saw the visiting team
yeah,
walk away with a win.
yeah. It's a shame to see. Shame to see the referees took the game over, though. Took it away from the player. Didn't let the players decide it. I mean, some of those were legit calls. There's no doubt. Some of them were. Of course, there were some legit calls that weren't made on a Mississippi State holding and stuff too. So it works both ways. And I'm not saying that all 18 penalties were bogus, but a lot of them were. And this is for people talking about Bobby Petrino's team didn't have any discipline yesterday. Well, I mean, I look at the 4 games he's coached, 4 games. In the first 3, they had 13 penalties for 93 yards. 13 penalties. And I'm talking about combined, all 3 games. 13 penalties for 93 yards in 3 games. Yesterday, they have 18 for 193. Is that, you may not find that a little odd. I do. I mean, I find it real odd. I mean, I mean, they called Maddox Lassiter for hitting the kid out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
They drove uh, uh, they drove the receiver, Arkansas receiver, 10, 15 yards off the field, and they threw the flag, and then they picked it up, and Raylan Sharp. I mean, and he was hit. They slid on him nearly past the bench. And I mean, just stuff like that. There was too many inconsistencies. They slammed Italian Green on the 2-point conversion, didn't call it. Just it was inconsistent yesterday. This crew has been known for that. They refereed another SEC game earlier in the year, and there's people not wanting to referee any more games, and they didn't do a good job. And I when you go to a game, I like to see the game decided on the field. Look, there's been enough of them decided against Arkansas this year on the field, and that ultimately was, but I just felt like it had a little smell to it because I just find it very odd. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. I find it very odd. They have 18 penalties for 193 yards. The other team had 4 penalties for 30 yards. And this holding stuff, let me tell you, you call holding on any play in the game. I thought Carmona's holding call was very questionable. I felt like the first one on Broussard was legit. I mean, he tackled the guy, so that was legit. But then on the other hand, they tackled Quincy Rhodes a few times to keep him out of the backfield, and there's no call. They swallow the whistle, or the flag, keep it in their pocket. So it's just, and believe it or not, I'm not one. What I say about officiating, I just say it's not very good generally, but it evens out. So I'm not one to blame the officiating for a team losing. I just say generally they're not very good, but if you watch it, they screw over both teams. But that didn't happen yesterday. It was all one sided, and it was too one sided for me to not have a smell about it. I've got my doubts about some things with that game.
Yeah, do you think this might be a situation? Of course, a lot of people talking about the officiating, no doubt. But do you think this might be a situation where the league office might have to come out and make a statement about this on Monday or later in the week?
I would, I would think they need to. I don't know if they will since it was Arkansas. If this would happen to Alabama, you can bet if Alabama had 18 penalties for 193 yards and the other team had 4 for 30, I promise you there would probably be some firings on Monday, but there would certainly be an announcement. With Arkansas, I'm not sure there will be. I mean, a few years ago they played Auburn. The quarterback turns around, spikes the ball, which is directly a fumble. They ruled it incomplete pass. I mean, everybody knows when you throw the ball behind you, it's a lateral, not an incomplete pass. Just stuff like that. I mean, that took a victory away from Arkansas that night. So it's just been that way. Honestly, I'm not sure they will. They should, and maybe they do. Maybe they do. I hope I'm wrong, but I have my doubts they'll even say anything
Yeah, I mean,
publicly anyway.
yeah, no, absolutely. You make some good points there. All right, well, you know, obviously with the officiating the way that it was, there were some plays that Arkansas probably wishes they had back.
Yeah, no doubt.
Whenever Mississippi State made that quarterback change, Blake Shapen had to exit. That seemed to be kind of a big turning point because we didn't really know what that backup Camario Taylor would do, and he turned out to be pretty vital for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, and that's what I told Jerry, who was sitting by me in the press box. I said, "This is not good for Arkansas because running quarterbacks, athletic quarterbacks. Saban's not. He's a good passer, but he's not an athletic running quarterback. But running quarterbacks have been an issue for Arkansas all season, and he did hurt them, and he threw the ball pretty well. Yeah, and the fourth down conversions they had. Mississippi State a few fourth down conversions, and they let them complete it or let them be successful. I think they were unsuccessful on one of them, I remember, because Arkansas took over with a short field, but the rest of them, they pretty well made it. And, that comes back to Arkansas. But then again, like I said, the defense has consistently been not that great all season.
Mm-hmm.
So consistently, they did what they pretty much done all season. And they have made improvement. I want to make that clear. They've made a lot of improvement. The running defense was a lot better yesterday, and they've made a lot of improvement.
Well, Otis, I think Bobby Petrino said that the Mississippi State defense souffled Taylon Green at one point. I think that was the words he used to describe. And obviously, that play at the very end, pretty much the last play of the game, Taylon goes down hard. Has to be helped off the field. He was able to walk, but he had some assistance going off the field. And then after the game, Bobby Petrino didn't really have an update, but just said it didn't look good. I guess this is a good week that this is a bye week, because if they did have a game next week, you wonder he might not be available. But you also wonder, with 3 games left, will he return? Does he see it in his future to play in these 3 games? Just kind of wondering what your take on that is.
Knowing Taylor, if he can play, he will. I mean, he's a competitor. He's never quit on the team, and I don't know what that would be called, quitting on the team. But I mean, I get your point. Kids maybe has an NFL future, and why risk your injury? But yeah, it didn't look good. But yeah, the play that Bobby was talking about, I thought it was that play there, but it was actually the 2-point conversion play where Taylor flipped it to shove pass to Rohan Jones, and then the guy comes in and just wipes him out, and no call. And later on, they called a late hit on the court on Shapen. So I mean, it's just that I hate to just keep repeating myself, but it was inconsistent after inconsistency. You're calling it on one side. If you're going to call it that way, see, you can get. It's just like a baseball game. You have an umpire, and he's giving you the outside corner, the pitcher of the outside corner. Will you adjust to that? Because he's consistently calling the outside pitch strike. So yesterday there was no way to adjust, because he's they're. I mean, they were hitting the quarterback. They don't call it. Didn't Arkansas hit the quarterback? They call it. And I'm talking about the Vikings. They called it another time. I mean, it's just inconsistency. The guy out of bounds gets hit. Rather Sharp gets tackled 15 yards out of bounds. Rode 15 yards out of bounds. No call. Or they called it and then waved it off or something. And I've got serious doubts that first pass that they reviewed was a completion. I looked like, to me, it bounced in the press box and it hit the ground, and the guy had his hand down there. But it was a lot of inconsistency yesterday, and that's more than anything. And yes, the Arkansas defense has been bad this season, but it's been consistently bad for the most part. And the offense has struggled in the second half, consistently struggled in the second half of most games. So those are consistent things that you look for, Hayden. The inconsistency was in the officiating yesterday. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but man, you just hate to see a game decided by the referees, the officials. The officials are just one referee, but by the officials, they took that game and took it away from the players. And I don't like to see that in any sport. I like to see the players make if it's hey, like I said, Kevin Broussard held that guy, call it. That's fine, but. I just find it strange. The team had been penalized 13 times for 93 yards. All of a sudden, they're this undisciplined bunch. Some fans said they're undisciplined. Bobby Petrino was undisciplined. Well, he wasn't 3 games. He sure became one, I guess, that last game. I just find that odd. If people don't, that's fine. That's your right. But I mean, I just find it very inconsistent, and I just find it very odd.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you ever remember seeing a game like this in all your years covering the Hogs?
Not that one side. The closest thing I remember that game was actually basketball. One time at Baton Rouge, Arkansas, and LSU basketball. And LSU I called Arkansas for 1,000,000 fouls in LSU for 2 or 3, if I remember right. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it was about like that game. Yeah, there was an LSU Arkansas game. Kevin probably remembers it. If you ask, if you have him on here, you can ask him about that. But well, I know he'll remember it. He's better at basketball than I am. But I remember that, and that was the one game where I've seen some bad calls. Like I said, down in Auburn, the quarterback turns around and spikes the ball, but that was one call.
Yeah.
And they missed it, but that was one game. It cost Arkansas the game. That was fourth down, or that would have been Arkansas's ball. No, it wasn't fourth down, but he spiked it, and Arkansas recovered. I forget who the player was that recovered the fumble, and that would have been Arkansas's ball in the last couple of minutes of the game. Arkansas had that game won. So I've seen bad calls like yesterday, but I've never seen that many. And that one side, other than that, I remember an LSU Arkansas basketball game one time in Baton Rouge.
It was a game I'm sure. Yeah, we'll be talking about for years and years to come for all that yellow laundry that was on the field for sure. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll get into a little recruiting talk. Stick with us. We're here on the Arkansas Football Recruiting Report. Welcome back to your Arkansas Football Recruiting Report. Hayden Herrera joined alongside Otis Kirk. Otis, a bye week that, the last time Arkansas was dealing with a bye week, they were dealing with a coaching change. So no coaching change, but still some troubles. You have to figure that with, I don't want to say stability, but the fact that they aren't having to switch everything around like they were in the last bye week. This bye week, might it be used a little more? Coaches going out, seeing players?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll try to see probably some commitments that they didn't. Some of them they didn't get to see the first round. I remember Colton Yarborough, they didn't go see it, my memory's right. But yeah, I think they'll go see some players. Maybe Ari Slocum, he's back in the fold now. I don't remember them seeing him the first game, but there's some guys like that. Yeah, and maybe any coach that hasn't seen these kids maybe can get out and watch them play and see a game. And yeah, there will. Bobby mentioned that they will be out doing some recruiting, and they've still got quite a few commitments. They're still about half the class. They had 27. It's a little bit more than half right now, with Ari jumping on board again. But it's just there's so much uncertainty right now that recruiting is really slim pickings right now as far as reporting recruiting stuff. I wish I could come on here and say Arkansas is going to host some visitors and they'll get 3 commitments, but without knowing who the coach is even going to be, that's the thing too. If they had beaten Auburn and Mississippi State, and I felt a little bit better about Bobby getting that job, which I wish he would, but I don't see it now. But I hope I'm wrong. Because I'm not apologizing to anybody. I've said all along I want Bobby to get that job, and but even if he got it now, there's still so much uncertainty that's probably not going to know it till the end of the season. So, and I don't think he will. I think they'll probably go outside now, and that's too bad because. But if they'd won the Auburn game and Mississippi State game, I think everybody be feeling a little bit better about that situation, and important because LSU's got their own problems. It's not just Arkansas. LSU, they're going to play them, and they've got their own problems down there. I mean, they fired the AD, the coach. They want Donald Trump to pick the next coach. I mean, it's been one thing after another. That governor's wanting Donald Trump to pick the guy. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, the stuff that's coming out of down in that Baton Rouge is worse than here. And so anything can happen in that game. They haven't been that great all season. Then Texas. The sad thing is, a few weeks ago, I would have said, I don't think they're not going to beat Texas, but they might. But after watching that first half against Vandy yesterday before I went to the game, man, I don't know. I mean, they looked like now, I do know Vandy came back. Well, but I was shocked because when I left, it was like 17-3 or something, Texas. I mean, I left to go to the stadium early, but Texas was just blowing them out. I scored on the first play of the game. Ryan Wingo, name known to Arkansas fans, was recruited here. His brother Ronnie Wingo, but played for Bobby. But Ryan had a touchdown catch. I believe he had 75 yards on the first play. Kind of threw it out, and he just made people missing. Then the Missouri, it was here, and there again, like I said, if they'd won the last 2 games here. Then you feel maybe Missouri's got a backup quarterback. I don't know if he'll still be the quarterback then, but their starters hurt. So you feel a little bit better about the situation, but there's so much uncertainty over right now, Hayden, that I just don't see. I mean, fortunately, there hasn't been any Robert Haynes decommitted. I don't know if we talked about that on here. Wide receiver Robert Haynes did decommit. And I know we talked about Cade Bush decommitted, the tight end from Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't believe we've mentioned Haynes now that I think about it. Maybe he did decommit. But then again, like I said, the day he decommitted, Slocum came back home. We went public with it. Slocum actually committed when he was here last Saturday with the Auburn game. But he didn't, and I held it till he went public with it that Tuesday. But yeah, he's back and forth. And so and Ari Slocum's a very good defensive tackle. He had a big game recently down there. Yeah, the thing about defensive tackles that I look at it, and we've always said on this show, they don't grow on trees. So if you get one of those big dudes, you need to get as many of them as you can because they don't grow on trees. When you get a kid athletic enough to play tight end, but is a defensive tackle who doubles some at tight end, you feel like you've got a kid that's pretty good ball, pretty athletic, and that's what you need, that defensive tackle spot. And that seems to be what Arkansas got with him, as long as they can hold on to him. I mean, there again, I'm hoping that, Colton Yarborough is a very good edge rusher. And if they can hold on to him, that would really be a plus for Bobby or the next coach, whoever it is. But we'll see how all this plays out. But it is slim pickings right now. I apologize to people, but it's so much speculation, and I don't see much point in speculating. I mean, it looks like there'll be a different coach here, and if there is, may not keep any of the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen. Our buddy Tay Lockett was at the game again yesterday. Good to see that. He's and like I said last week on the show, he said he was committed to the state of Arkansas, and he wished more kids took that approach. Not necessarily Arkansas, but each school, because if you commit to a head coach or assistant coach, and you're going to that school, they may not be there for 4 or 5 years. They may not be there for 2 years. And it's not just schools losing. I mean, you can go. I think the kids that went to LSU didn't expect Kelly to be fired that quick. The kids that went to Notre Dame a few years ago didn't expect Kelly to leave for LSU. So it happens everywhere. And the Ole Miss situation, will Lane Kiffin be there next year? Will he leave for another school? So I mean, now Hugh Freeze has been fired today. I don't think we mentioned that.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze has been fired, so that's 4 coaches, I believe, in the SEC now. You got LSU, Florida, Auburn, and Arkansas. I believe that's the only 4 right now.
Yep.
But some coach in the SEC could leave to go to one of those jobs, so that'll be another school come over. So it's a lot of, like I said, there's just a lot of uncertainty out there this year. Thought maybe Freeze saved his job beating Arkansas because he had Kentucky yesterday, but then you go up there and lay an egg against Kentucky, lost 10-3, and so that pretty well sealed it. When I saw that score last night, I said, "I've looked for tomorrow. There'll be an announcement on Freeze," and there was. It never happened for him. I'll tell you one thing though. The defensive coordinator at Auburn, DJ Durkin, he is somebody that whoever cuts his job at Arkansas, head coach's job, needs to call that guy, if it's Bobby or if it's whoever, man. If you get the job, you need to call DJ Durkin. Say, come up here and be my defensive coordinator, man, because that guy's good. I mean, I know he had, I think it was at Maryland where he had the drama, but I mean, it hadn't seemed to hurt him at Auburn, but he's one on the field. He's one heck of a defensive coordinator. I don't know the guy. I've never talked to him, never met him, don't know him at all. But I do know he's a heck of a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, every Sunday morning now we just wake up and see which coach has been canned.
Daylight saving time didn't do him any good either. Still got one fired. It's every Sunday occurrence, man. Will it be Kentucky next week? I mean, you just never know. I mean, Stoops bought him another week like Freeze did beating Arkansas. Stoops may have bought him another week, plus he's got that huge buyout. I think that's helping Stoops more than anything else, that real huge buyout he's got. But Brian Kelly had a huge buyout, and it didn't seem to stop LSU, and it may not stop Kentucky. So, I'm not trying to start. It's kind of a joke, but I just wonder if the next coach will be fired next Sunday. So, I mean, it seems to be an every week occurrence in the SEC.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Dabo Sweeney has a big buyout, but who knows if somebody at Clemson might decide to, after what they've been through this season, just wild stuff.
In this day and age, I don't know that anybody's safe, even with you've seen Jimbo Fisher fired with that huge buyout. You've seen Brian Kelly and the same AD Woodward gave it. So I kind of see where the governor's coming from. I don't know if the governor ought to get involved with that, but I kind of see where he's coming from. But Woodward's the one that gave Jimbo that big contract, and then he's the one that gave Kelly that huge contract. And I mean, I don't know why you're pretty much bidding against yourself when you give a guy that much money and a huge buyout. I don't think anybody else was going to give Kelly that kind of buyout, and that they're paying salary, but it's one thing to pay a man maybe a little bit more than what the going rate is, but it's another thing to give him huge buyouts. That's what bites you in the rear because you're pretty much stuck with him, or you're either stuck with him or you're stuck with paying a lot of money to somebody, and that neither one's a good situation, and that's what LSU's looking at right now. So I understand a little bit where the governor's coming from on that but then again, maybe the better question would be who hired him at LSU after he gave Jimbo that contract?
Yeah.
Who gave him the authority to hire Kelly? They're saying he didn't have the authority to fire Kelly. Never talked to the board of trustees. Well, who hired him? Maybe that's the person. Not who did he not talk to, but who hired him? Maybe that person ought to answer some of it anyway.
No, absolutely.
Because
So
he already had a track record of giving out record number of buyout totals.
yeah,
Sometimes people say when somebody shows you who they are, believe it. Well, that's you got to believe it on Woodward. I mean, he's done that, and he done it with Jimbo, and he repeated the same act at LSU. It's hard for me to feel sorry for him because they hired the guy.
Well, it'll be a battle of interim head coaches in Baton Rouge when Arkansas goes down to face LSU. But before then, a bye week, so a chance to rest and coaches recruit, and we'll see what happens there. As always, Otis, thank you for the time. This has been your Arkansas football recruiting report. We'll see you next time.